Hello, good afternoon. So it's Monday, the 11th of December. I'm Willie, Director of John Hu Migration Consulting here in Vietnam. We have just some breaking news from Australia, the migration updates, the long-awaited migration strategy, and also the timetable has been released. So I'm here to share with you the key changes or the key actions coming out from that report that is relevant to the Vietnamese markets. In the reports, we can clearly see that there are 8 key actions in the strategy. The first 2 are the most relevant to offshore applicants from Vietnam. Of course, the third would be more for the international students, and rest of them is really kind of improving the immigration process and the integrity of the whole visa process in the system. Okay. Just going through the first and second point in more detail and to share with you my key takeaways. The first one is targeting temporary skilled visa migration to address skills needs and promote work mobility. So really here, this first key action point is targeting the 482 temporary visa, okay, the employment-sponsored TSS visa. You can see here, the new commitment from DHA would be to develop a new skill-in-demand visa with clear pathway to PR. Also to develop a specialist skill pathway to drive innovation and job creation. And thirdly is develop a core skill pathway to meet the targeted workforce needs. I mean, in that sense, it's pretty clear that these will supersede the existing kind of the short-term, medium, long-term kind of occupation pathways. And then, it was also in the report clearly kind of the things that will be changed and will be improved, right? You can see on the right-hand side of the screen. Right now, for the 482 visa, of course, to get the 482 visa, you need a sponsor. And then the standard pathway for PR is the 186, also a permanent resident visa, but also requiring nomination. You can see here, on the first point, guaranteed pathway to PR. So, especially kind of in the skills in demand visa, there will be a PR pathway which won't need nomination, right? You can see here it's a self-nominated independent pathway. So likely to follow a reformed points test, but not requiring a nominator for the PR stage, which is great news. A second change is actually something that has been always very challenging, is when someone is on the 482 visa, and if they were to change jobs, right, or switch jobs, they have only 60 days to find a new employer. Under the new regime, the new system, they will be given 180 days, which is half a year, which is great news. And then it relieves a lot of the stress, a lot of the urgency to find that second employer, right, or a new employer, having 6 months instead of 2 months. The third point would be the employer fees. Right now, for an employer to sponsor applicants, they have to pay large amounts of upfront fees, of which this will be changed to trailing employer fees, right? So, giving kind of, bit of breathing space, or bit of, for smaller employers who cannot afford the upfront large fees, as opposed to breaking it down to installments as trailing fees, rather than upfront. So that'll be good to have access to greater amount of employers. The fourth point will be, just the visa application barriers, really just taking months and months, for processing. Here, DHA is promising a more streamlined and service standard processing approach, okay, which will be good. It will be really good to see the processing time come down, okay. And the last point, which I think will be great for the Vietnamese market, right, especially the professionals in the young professional market, right, is the clarity of the sponsors. We quite often get asked about, do you have access to Australian employers or for job offers and whatsoever. Going forward, DHA will have a public register of sponsors to assist mobility. In that sense, the employers will be transparent who are willing to sponsor. So this will be really good and a big step forward for the 482 visa. Secondly, the second large change which is relevant is the reshaping of permanent skilled migration visas. This would be here, would be the points test, the current points test system, 189, 190, 491. We were talking, there's been so many talks years and years about how the current points test system is very outdated, right? Especially occupation codes and just the points test system that needs change, needs to be revamped and reformed, right? So there's commitment here to do so, which is really good, right? In that sense, there will be a reformed points test, right, to better identify who should get or more of a PR pathway. So, here we will have to wait and see when this is further announced. But I think the points test will not just be used for 189, 190, 491. It will also be used for people holding the TSS visa as a permanent pathway. As we said before, the self-nominated pathway, not needing a sponsor for PR, right? For PR, at that second stage. Also, I think, very relevant for the Vietnamese market is, which is also part of this, the skilled migration quota, is the 188 visa, which is part of this business innovation and investment program. There's quite often, the Grattan Institute was brought in, conduct work on behalf of DHA, right? I think here you can see some of the observations that were done, and specifically for 188A and 188C, there are some kind of comments that were made. You can see here they said that for 188A, right, just over 80%, of the businesses that were 188A, ended up opening businesses that were in retail or hospitality in Australia. So there are a lot of questions here whether these industries or these sectors actually meet the objective of the 188 visa. So in that sense, I think the 188A visa is likely going to be changed, into something that requires more innovative or more contribution to the Australian economy. Secondly, you can see on the left-hand side the SIV, right, the significant investment visa. There, I think, being at the large $5 million threshold, right, that there were still comments that were made that the 188C visa definitely still has its place in the new regime, and we're yet to see how this will evolve. There's mentions that there will be considering, right? DHA is considering a new talent and innovation visa, right? This will effectively bring in and kind of combine the 188 visa with GTI. So, here I think they're still really at the early stage of considering and how to design this new talent and innovation visa. And as you can see in the second comment as well, until there is this new outcome or until there's a decision on this, there will be no 188 quota allocated, right? So really need to kind of see how this evolves and see, the announcements in the upcoming months. So I think here, these were the key outcomes that we saw relevant to the Vietnamese market.